it's good to be here to talk about transformation because in my experience, change is the hardest thing to do within myself. So that's why I started really going into this field and educating myself on it. I remember as a little girl the statement, "Be the change you wish to see in the world." Anyone know that one? By Gandhi. And we all can say that with words, but I was always thinking to myself, but how? How do I change from being angry to love? How do I change from having anxiety to being peace? How? So as I was thinking about coming here today and talking to you guys, I like to keep things very simple. And as Kevin said, I'm a transformational coach, we'll say. Self-mastery, I like to call it. And I have a private practice as well. In the past, I would travel around the United States and do, programs where we taught transformation. So there's a lot of repetition involved. It's not real complicated, but yet it's a lot of consistency and repetition that is required for changing ourselves. Now, we all can think of change, for instance, like when we move. That's an unexpected change. Or if the kids leave the nest, or if you go to college, even if you get your hair cut in a really different way. There's all forms of change. I'm going to zero in on just specifically internal transformation. And so what I mean by that is change that's emotional. I find it's very difficult in my practice as well to say, okay, I don't want to be like this anymore. I don't want to be angry anymore, for instance. Anyone have an anger issue? I do. I did. What about anxiety? Anyone in here have anxiety? Great. So I really was thinking I want to leave you guys with something you can do and take away and practice. Just keep it simple. And so there's 3 points. There's 1, the mind, our thoughts. Number 2, our emotions. And number 3 is the breath. If you are aware of those 3 things and you can practice consistently, you can change. It's not easy, like I said, but for instance, I want to give you an example. If you just close your eyes for a minute and think of something in your life that has been a challenge. And we're going to start with challenge. We'll do the good stuff later, but challenge gives you better access, I think, to the kind of more unconscious patterns. So think of that thing, whether it's a family member, whether it's the state of the world. Now, when you've got that thought of that challenge, try to think of the emotion. What do you feel about it? Are you angry? Are you frustrated? Are you scared? Okay? Raise your hand if you've got that spot for yourself. Is anyone willing to share? Is anyone willing to be open and vulnerable and share what they came up with? No one? Come on, you guys. Okay, Kevin.
I was thinking about my mother-in-law almost being scammed out of a lot of money again. And the emotion, I think, was helplessness and anger at the people who do things like that.
That makes sense, doesn't it, to all of us? And we feel justified in that, don't we? So this is how I do it, and I do it for myself and my clients as well, and with you. The first step is when you're in a state that feels pretty peaceful. I like to set intention. I heard that a lot in Kevin's talk this morning, or prayer, whatever that is. Set intention about who do I choose to be in the world. And again, I keep it simple. For me, I choose to be love, and I choose to be connection. Those are like my 2 kind of North Stars. So pick an intention of the person that you'd like to be. Who do you want to be? Keep it simple. Peace. I'd like to be love. I'd like to be gratitude, generosity, whatever it is for you. So you want to have that intention, that North Star. And then life happens. And you hear something like that. Oh God, they're trying to scam my mom again. What is the deal with these people? Why are people so cruel? Okay, so you see that, if we take that apart, that's just your thoughts, right? The mind. You see that? That's not the emotion. He said it just how it is. It usually comes in the thoughts of the story of what's going on, and then the emotion is underneath that's driving the thoughts. Does that make sense? You guys follow? So you take that place in your life, you have your intention. Then the thing happens, because life happens to us. It's just the way it is. You're not going to change a life. So that thing happens, you get the trigger, hopeless, angry. So then you just engage the mind. Oh, stop. Let me hear what I'm saying here. And you're never going to have a loving thought with an angry emotion. It just doesn't work, because a lot of times we want to trick ourselves and pretend, oh yeah, but I'm love and peace, frickin' guy passed me in the car or whatever. It's never going to align. So that's why I say the mind is first, because we can access our thoughts before our feelings. Okay, so just close your eyes for another second. Think of your situation and try to listen to the thoughts you're having about it. Okay, raise your hand if you've got your thoughts that you've got about it. Okay, just a few of you. Sometimes it goes blank, when you're put on the spot, but we'll just deal with this. I'm going to give you the steps so you have them. So you got the thoughts. Now look at the thoughts. What do they sound like? Anyone willing to share now? Anyone? Come on, you guys. I'll share mine. I'm getting really scared about the state of the world. So fear. What's going to happen to our world? Why are people so divided? This is all fear. Those are our thoughts. But then I trace it back to, what am I feeling? I'm afraid. So then that's the first step. Then I say, wait, where's my North Star? Who do I want to be? I choose to be love and connection. So then I just take that situation and I take a breath. That's where the breath comes in. Who do I choose to be? Now, close your eyes again. Think about your situation. Take a deep breath in. Who do I choose to be within this situation? And then when you've got that, then look at how you've been showing up. And then, usually then, through my experience, through practice, you'll get this beautiful input on what action to take from this new place. Now, here's the key, you guys. There's been a lot of things on affirmation and, even mantra. But the key that I have discovered, the most powerful part of this practice is you've got to be honest with where you authentically are. We're not perfect. We're human. All the time I feel like, first, my reactions are, I'm angry. I have a quick story to tell you about this specific thing. My husband, we've had this gong from China that his mom gave him. 26 years in my house, my entryway. My house is my temple. So I walk in and see this beautiful ancient, actually I think it's Tibet. It's Tibetan gong. And it does something when I walk into my house. It creates peace in me. And we were driving to his daughter's house to finish, we've been helping her build her first home. And as we're almost there, he says, I'm going to give her the gong in the front room. And I was so freaking triggered. I couldn't believe it. It was like this tornado that came inside me. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You didn't even ask me? Like, that thing is important. And him and I do this work a lot. So he knew. He turned on the classical music. Because he'll usually say, he used to say, Tourette's, you're getting a Tourette's syndrome. Because I had no control of my anger, but he turned on this classical music. It was like an oboe. It was like really intense. It was so good, though, because we had another hour, and I sat there, and I did exactly what I'm telling you. I said, okay, that's what I want. That's what I want. I want to keep that gong there. But who do I choose to be? And I choose to be love, and I choose to be connection. And with that comes, I choose to be grace and generosity. And as I was driving, I started to breathe. Believe me, my anger, I would say, was at 100 at first. But I sat there and did this practice. This is many years. Like Kevin said, I've been doing this training for a lot of years, probably almost 20 now. It's taken me a long time to come to this place. And then I came to center. And then through that peaceful state, I started seeing that entryway opening for something new in our house, a new energy in our house. I also saw how beautiful for his daughter to have this piece from her grandmother, christen her new house. And my mind and my heart and everything started to open. But I had to do the practice. I had to express that anger. I expressed it a little outside. I'm still not a master. But I just really believe if we can be the change and we have the tools to truly execute and not take action through these fear-based emotions, we can not only change ourselves, but as Kevin was saying too, it bleeds out into the field, into the collective field, into being a beautiful mirror for the rest of humanity, for our community, for our family. And I'm not saying it's easy, you guys. So if you just say, okay, in this moment I am really angry, and it's okay. It's a normal human emotion. I'm accountable for it. Who do I choose to be? So those are the steps. So I just invite you just today, take baby steps. Everything I've done when it comes to transformation, whether it's with nutrition or physical movement or anything, I just take one step at a time. Don't look at the big picture. But if you can practice just today, being aware of your thoughts, being aware of the emotion, where does it live in the body? And then saying the breath, taking a breath, who do I choose to be? What do I choose to contribute to the earth and to humanity? If you just do that each day, even just once a day, you will start to see something shift in yourself and in your relationships. So that's my talk on transformation. Anyone have any questions? No questions? Anyone want to share anything about that? No?
Well, I'll
Oh, I got
Here.
David back there. Oh. Is that David? Or, oh, I can't see. Sorry. Chris. Yeah, Chris.
I was just remembering something similar. Years ago, my wife and I were traveling, I think it was in the Portland, Milwaukee area, and I wasn't paying attention, and I kind of cut somebody off, and it annoyed him, really pissed him off, really. And he spent the next several miles trying to get me to look at him so he could flip me off. He would not let up. He would come to every stoplight and honk his horn and try to get me to look at him as he flipped me off. But I would not. I knew he was trying to do this because it was triggering my wife, and she was returning the gesture. But I kept myself in a neutral place, realizing that this guy, I don't know what it would have done to me to see that, but I would not let it into my experience. And finally, he gave up and drove away, and I stood in my power because I would not let him hex me and pull me out of my power.
That's a great example and great story. Do you recall what you did while you were staying in your center? Do you recall like what actions you were taking for yourself, breathing or?
I just did not look at him. He was to my left all the time, so I made sure that my vision was always to the right. And I knew he was there, but it's just like those thoughts that you don't want in your consciousness because they are not welcome in your consciousness.
Yeah.
This was a physical manifestation of something that I did not want in my consciousness. And I chose to leave it behind.
There.
In effect, I forgave it. The aspect of forgiveness is, it's not that somebody didn't do anything wrong, it's you cast it into your back, behind you, and you move forward with the intention that this will never affect your future.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing, and I love that point, you guys. We have a choice. Who believes you have a choice to show up how you choose each moment? Who thinks it's someone else's fault how you feel? Okay, that's good. No, I'm serious. There's a lot of people that don't. If you understand that basic concept, I am accountable for everything I experience. Yes, things happen. Yes, they trigger certain things in me, but it's my creation, and I can decreate it or transmute the energy into love, from fear to love. It sounds kind of hocus pocusy, but I'm telling you, the step that's essential that I have found is the part of acknowledging what you're feeling that isn't the good feelings. And I don't say good and bad because I don't believe it. I believe it's frequencies. So the lower frequencies are fear-based anger emotions, and higher frequencies. And just like music, you can choose which frequency you want to create with. It's your choice. But it does go out and it does impact a collective. And I'm sure you know that. So thanks for that. Claire, did you have something to add?
But it was interesting because Kevin and I were talking about this yesterday. We were on a walk and I said, something just popped into my head, and immediately just the thought of it, where my mind took it, I could just feel this huge knot in my stomach. And thanks to Beth, she was in her relationships class. It's like, where are you feeling this in your body? Right here. And Kevin and I started, I'm like, man, how do you turn this off? Like, how do you, an acknowledgement. So, but it was interesting because when you had us go into the thought this morning, think of something, I didn't get triggered. So it was weird that yesterday, I just like you talking about the gong, it was like, whong, up here, but today it was okay.
That's great, and that is a great point. I also do that. That's one other thing to be aware of. Where is it in your body? I like to do that too. The reason why, your mind needs something to do. Think of it as like a little kid or a dog that wants to play with a ball. So if you're like, this is what I'm feeling, where is it in the body? The mind has a focus other than, oh my God, they did this, they did that, and then that expands whatever state you're in. So I love that, and thanks for that reminder. Where does that emotion live in my body? So to sum it up one last time, here's the practice. Just try it today. You're gonna be different if you do. So where am I at? What am I feeling in this moment? It's okay. It's a normal human emotion. I'm accountable for it. This thing happened, it just triggered that. Where is it in my body? When you feel it, breathe in And the cool thing about emotions, if you name it, it only has about a 90-second lifespan. So a minute and a half. Usually it starts to dissipate. And that, I love that when you find it in the body and then you breathe. And then, who do I choose to be? Who do I choose to be? And let that intention you set for yourself be the guiding light for the next steps. It'll inform you what actions to take or to not take, which is sometimes even more important. All right, anything else? Anyone want to share anything else? Yep.
It helps me to think it's not happening to me, it's happening for me. It's an opportunity for me to grow.
I love that. Thank you. What is, I live that way too. I call it the 2 O's. If there's an obstacle, I say, what's the opportunity actually? So thank you for that. It's the opportunity. It's not happening to me, it's happening for me. That's awesome. Someone else? Yes.
Well, my question. Here, wait. I'm going to give you, Nikini, let me. Okay. So that online people can hear.
Hi. So my question is about if your husband in that moment did not be as understanding as he would be, and if he didn't turn on the classical music. So I actually have been in the car with people occasionally in my life where something comes up and I'm triggered, and the classical music is not turned on, I'm not able to breathe, but the person keeps like peppering me. Like, for example, in this, that person might say, you know, how could you be so selfish? What do you mean you don't want to give it to my daughter? What are you doing? You're the worst person ever for not giving that gong to my daughter. How could you do that? And there could be this like back and forth awful thing that happens, and then you're trapped in the car. Now, if that were me, I could still choose, and I have practiced this before, to try to breathe and say, let's talk about this later, but the person still comes at me and you're trapped in the car. I guess my question is, what would you do if your husband didn't turn on the classical music? How would you contain yourself?
Good question. I've had a lot of practice. He didn't used to turn on the classical. We've been together 26 years. I have these fun little names for myself, and I say the gatekeeper was off duty because I could feel it coming out. I tried to shut my mouth, but it would come out anyway. So that's a great question. That's going to happen. But the more you practice the baby set, so in that scenario, you just stop, and you keep going inside, and you keep saying, in this moment I feel, I'm rage. It's okay, I'm accountable. So you're not kind of hearing because you're focused inside. So you do the exact same thing, probably just more often and more focused. Does that make sense? My dad, when I first started this, my dad tried to trigger me, and I was inside. In this moment I feel, in this moment I feel. And he's like, hello? Because I wasn't engaging. You guys know my dad, Joe Leonardi, who knows my dad? He'd go, hello? And I wasn't engaging, and that pisses them off. So then they try to engage more. But none of it is to blame. So if you just keep doing the same thing over, and you'll get better. So many of my clients are like, when am I going to get better? I just say, just keep it up. I promise one day, wow. Like that. I was so proud of myself of how I didn't react, and I came back with love. All right? All right, you guys. Thanks for being engaged, being here.